Dust billowed, kicked up by worn tires racing away from another robbery. Inside, fear hung heavy in the air, the scent of gunpowder stinging nostrils. America, land of opportunity, was also a breeding ground for desperation, and from that desperation rose figures as captivating as they were terrifying. The bank robbers, their names echoed through history. Bonnie and Clyde, John Dillinger, the masterminds behind the Great Brinks heist. They were criminals, yes, but their audacity, their defiance, ignited a strange sense of awe in the public imagination. This is their story. Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow, two names that have become synonymous with the romanticized notion of outlaws on the run. Their names, forever entwined, conjure images of a romanticized life on the lam. They were more than just criminals. They were symbols of rebellion and defiance during one of America's most challenging eras. But their reality was far grittier. The Great Depression had cast a long shadow over the nation, plunging millions into poverty and despair. For Bonnie and Clyde, petty crime became a way of life, a means to survive in a world that offered them little else. Their love story, fueled by adrenaline and desperation, played out against a backdrop of stolen cars and bank robberies. Each heist was a gamble, a high-stakes game where the prize was their freedom, and the cost could be their lives. They were young, reckless, and deeply in love. Their bond was a shield against a world that had turned its back on them. In each other's arms they found solace and strength, a reason to keep running, to keep fighting. Newspapers splashed their exploits across front pages, turning them into folk heroes for a nation yearning for escape. The public was captivated by their audacity, their defiance, and their undeniable charisma. Their spree, however, couldn't outrun fate. Ambushed on a rural road in Louisiana, their bullet-riddled car stood as a stark reminder that the road to hell, even when paved with good intentions, often leads to a violent end. Their deaths marked the end of an era, but their legend lived on, a testament to a love that burned bright and fierce, even in the darkest of times. John Dillinger, a name that echoed through the annals of American crime history. His name was synonymous with daring and cunning. In the early 1930s, Dillinger became a household name, a figure both feared and admired. His audacious bank heists and dramatic escapes captivated the public's imagination. He wasn't just robbing banks, he was putting on a show. Each heist was meticulously planned and executed with a flair that made him a legend. The public watched in awe as he outsmarted law enforcement time and again. Dillinger was a master of disguise, his features morphing behind hats and spectacles. He could blend into any crowd, making it nearly impossible for authorities to pin him down. His ability to change his appearance was as legendary as his heists. He charmed his way into vaults, his confidence disarming even the wariest guards. With a smile and a few well-chosen words, he could turn the most secure bank into his personal stage. His charisma was his greatest weapon. His escapes were legendary, once even using a wooden gun to bluff his way out of prison. Each escape added to his mythos, making him seem invincible. The public was both thrilled and terrified by his audacity. He became a symbol of rebellion, his exploits a slap in the face of authority during a time when people were hungry for it. In the midst of the Great Depression, Dillinger's defiance resonated with a populace disillusioned by economic hardship and corruption. But Dillinger's luck, like all things, eventually ran out. The law was closing in, and his once foolproof plans began to unravel. The net was tightening around him and he could feel the pressure mounting. Gunned down outside a Chicago theater, his reign as public enemy number one came to an abrupt and bloody end. The man who had once seemed untouchable was finally brought down, marking the end of an era in American crime history. January 17, 1950, Boston. A seemingly ordinary day shattered by an extraordinary crime. The Great Brinks heist wasn't a spur-of-the-moment act of desperation. It was a meticulously planned operation. A team of 11 men, led by the notorious Tony Pino, infiltrated the supposedly impenetrable Brinks headquarters. They moved with precision, their movements practiced, their timing impeccable. They vanished into thin air with over $2 million, a king's ransom in those days. The audacity of the crime, its sheer perfection, sent shockwaves through the nation. This wasn't just a robbery, it was a carefully orchestrated ballet of crime. The aftermath of these heists was a whirlwind of investigation and manhunts. Law enforcement, their pride wounded, poured resources into capturing these criminals. The FBI, still in its nascent stages, found its mettle tested by these cunning outlaws. The pressure was immense, the public demanding justice, demanding that these criminals be brought to heel. The chase was relentless, a game of cat and mouse played across state lines. Every lead was pursued, every witness questioned. The pressure cooker of public scrutiny fueled the investigation, turning it into a personal crusade for the men and women tasked with upholding the law. The Legend of Outlaws. Why We're Captivated. What is it about these outlaws that continues to fascinate us? Is it their audacity, their sheer boldness in the face of danger, their willingness to take risks that most of us would never dare to, their defiance in the face of overwhelming odds, the way they challenge authority and refuse to be constrained by the rules that govern the rest of us? Or is it something more primal, a yearning for freedom, a desire to live outside the confines of societal norms? Perhaps it's the allure of the unknown, the excitement of a life lived on the edge where every day is a new adventure. These criminals, for all their flaws, represent a rebellion against the mundane, a rejection of the ordinary. They embody a spirit of independence and self-reliance that many of us secretly admire. They are a reflection of our own hidden desires, our own fantasies of living life on our own terms. In their stories, we see a mirror of our own dreams and aspirations, a glimpse of a life unbound by the constraints of society. We are drawn to their stories because they allow us to vicariously experience the thrill of rebellion, the excitement of breaking the rules and getting away with it, the adrenaline rush of living on the edge, all from the safety of our own lives. Through their tales, we can explore the darker side of human nature, the part of us that longs for adventure and excitement without ever having to leave our comfort zones. The evolution of law enforcement lessons learned. The legacy of these criminals extends beyond their crimes. They forced law enforcement to adapt, to evolve. The FBI in particular underwent a transformation, honing its investigative techniques, developing new technologies to combat sophisticated criminal enterprises. Fingerprinting, forensic analysis, and interstate cooperation became paramount in the wake of these high-profile cases. The criminals might have been masters of their craft, but they inadvertently spurred a revolution in law enforcement, pushing it to become smarter, faster, and more resourceful. The enduring influence pop culture's fascination. The stories of Bonnie and Clyde, John Dillinger, and the Great Brinks Heist didn't end with their capture or death. They were immortalized in film, books, and music, their names becoming synonymous with a particular brand of American outlaw. Their exploits, romanticized and mythologized, continue to captivate audiences. We see ourselves in their struggles, their desires, their yearning for something more. Their stories remind us that the line between good and evil is often blurred, and that sometimes the most compelling characters operate in the shadows. Conclusion: the shadow of the outlaw. The great American bank robbers left an indelible mark on American history. They were criminals, yes, but they were also products of their time, shaped by circumstance and driven by desperation. Their stories, forever etched in the annals of crime, serve as a reminder of the seductive allure of rebellion, the enduring power of myth, and the fine line that separates infamy from legend.